Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Cancer, November 2024 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, Clairvoyant. Well, this month we have a great deck, actually very romantic. It's got all vampires in it, lots of pretty women and handsome men, something for everybody, no doubt. And what is it called? It's called The Tarot of Vampires, remarkably enough. And it's very good at bringing up the things that are going to allow you to manage the cosmic energies around you to find emotional satisfaction, fulfillment, and success, I'm sure. Now, you know, don't you, that I provide clairvoyant readings to people from all around the world over FaceTime and Skype, and the details of that are in the description below. Now, I charge for those, I have to. But what I don't charge for, and it's another thing which I do offer, is the gift of healing. It's a spiritual gift. The healing comes through me and not from me, as you would understand. Now, where it comes from, well, you can probably work that out yourself and join the dots. Now, you might say, well, if you're giving it away for free, then it can't be worth anything. Well, actually, if I were to get anything for it, it wouldn't work. And just seems to be the way, and I've been doing it for a long, long time now, decades. It's clearly been given to me on the basis that I receive nothing in return for it, and so I offer it gladly, and because that's in conformity with my soul contract. No catch, nothing safe, there's nothing will be recommended to you at all. No selling involved, no religion, and of course some spirituality, as you would expect. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take 5 cards, but I will mention that there are no video advertisements breaking their way into this content, and so you get to enjoy the experience of the reading without any interruption. Now, we only need 5 cards, as I say, because they're going to give you the complete package, so show me the magic. Prince of Grails. 3 of Skulls. What might there be from down in here? 3 of Knives. Good. Here is the 2 of Knives. These are all quite well shuffled, I know that for a fact. Obviously, there are no coincidences. They come out, the 2 and the 3 together, and the 2 is taking care of the 3. And finally, there is the Lord of Skulls. Well, why don't I bring the camera around? You and I can have a good close look at the artwork that's on these cards together, while the cosmic energies swirl and speak to us both, and I'll do the reading for you. Let's have, this is the major game in town for you now. There could be some thoughts of sorrow or melancholy about things that occurred in the past, or things that you are enduring at present, or with respect to I'm getting a relationship around it. Why is that anyway? We get here great success for you, tremendous direction and success. You do have peace and inner peace and clarity to make decisions. This is someone that needs to be looked carefully at if you are proposing to have dealings with them. Let's look first at this card here, the 3 of Knives. Well, that's a fairly dramatic scene, isn't it? Wouldn't you agree? Now, for me, the astrology here is Saturn ruling the 2nd decan of Libra, the 3rd to the 12th of October. I might have to spend some time on this, is what I'm thinking. Now, Libra, of course, is ruled by Venus, the planet of relationship and of love and beauty. And in a sense, this, to me, comes up as a sort of a personification of Venus itself. Well, Saturn in Libra. Saturn is exalted in Libra, But I see here doubts, a lack of clarity, heaviness. Ordinarily, Saturn is, of course, it's bringing you along to your soul purpose. It's bringing you along to the things that you are meant to have in life that bring happiness and joy to you. Now, Saturn, of course, is a strict teacher, and it makes everything fake or impure visible, and it really does block all comfortable avenues of escape. I suppose the lesson to be thought of here is no less than the ability of yourself to get on top of care and worry. Because if you do have any brooding, negative energy floating around you, that is going to separate you from your divine origin. Nevertheless, what can I say about relationships in this context? If there is a particular person in your life that is repeatedly choosing not to honor you and is causing you pain and sadness more than they are causing joy, then it might be time to release that friendship back to God and trust that it is where you belong. Now, you might recall also relationships that you may have had in the past, and it's not lies or a lack of loyalty that end a relationship. Really, it's the agonizing truth that one person feels in their heart on a daily basis. It's realizing that you are coping rather than living. Really, it's the false belief that there is a book, a magazine, a video that will magically make you feel content or complete or just not care. Now, you might find those things, but they don't last longer than a few days before your mind and heart go back to what it wants. The critical moment is the moment that you realize that you left without ever leaving. It's the moment you realize that fear, that shame or guilt is the only thing that is standing in the way of the life that God meant you to have. Actually, a competitive and insecure woman will tell you that true love is never giving up on someone you're in love with. But a confident and spiritual woman knows that moving on doesn't mean you never loved someone. She realizes that letting go is what God needs her to do, because both your happiness and theirs requires taking different journeys for spiritual growth. Now, letting go is sometimes the hardest thing, but it is the most real love that you will ever experience. And sometimes it has to be said, doesn't it, that our mind can go back to people with whom we are no longer, who may have walked out and shut the door, but we didn't realize all the other doors that God had opened for us. And you say to yourself, your memory feels like home to me. So whenever my mind wanders, it always finds its way back to you. And you might say to yourself, I had to get over them. Now, for months now, a stone has been sitting on my heart. I'd shed a lot of tears over them, lost a lot of sleep, eaten a lot of cake batter, but somehow I had to move on. Life would be Hell, if I didn't shake loose from the grip they had on my heart. I most definitely don't want to keep feeling this way, alone in a love affair meant for two. Even if they felt like they were the one. Even if I'd always thought that we would end up together. And even if they still have a choke chain on my heart. Now, it is the case that this card here is really a call to you to make clear, unambiguous decisions. And only in this way can the lost balance, which is going to be regained here, can it come about. Now, what decisions really are difficult for you to make or to face. But understand this, you must make the decision to move on, and understand also that your problem has its solution. You were born for greater things. Now, seeing as I did mention that, you had come to this point. Here we have the moon ruling Libra again this time. And I think here she probably is again in a different guise. Well, the two swords here, the symbols of peace, they're crossed and go down, grounding you into the earth. Now, this is a condition here through which situations can be sorted out and decisions made intuitively. Inspiration and ideas are going to come to you now, so they're worth paying attention to. Remember them in order to be able to guide yourself and aim yourself in times of doubt, confusion, or misery. There's freshness here and movement that is bound together. The moon in Libra. Well, this is a really great combination for you because with the sign of Libra, with the moon in it, you're likely to want to have you'll have a deep need for peace and harmony in your life. Now, this might include, obviously, your personal environment and relationships, but also work. And there's nothing either good or bad about here. It's balanced. Now, it may just be that you did have a hard time making up your idea about something, or you weren't able to make a choice. You might be dealing with the pros and cons of a situation. It could also be the case that, because I'm looking at this blindfold here, that you maybe don't have the information that you need to make the right decision at this time. But when you do get it, it's like the light goes on and you can see the situation for what it is. And you'll be in a much better position to make the decisions that are right for you. So what areas of your life are especially important to you? Because you can now come calmly to make the decisions and understand that a deep peace now fills your heart. Now let's have a look to see where we're going to go to next, and I think it is this character here. Now, court cards, of course, can be of either gender, so this could be a woman, but I'm going to refer to it as if it's a man for the obvious reason of its depiction as a man. I don't think much needs to be said about the thing there. But look, I'm getting a lot of Scorpio and Libra around here, you know. There is with this person cravings. Someone who is, I think, completely without conscience in the ordinary sense of the word. Someone who's almost perfectly ruthless and cares intensely for power, for information, and for their own aims. And if you are ever in any doubt as to where you stand in relation to them, you stand behind them. Now, of course, you've got to recognize your own wishes and desires as well. They're the fundamental driving force in your life. Now, it's only possible to use and to get on top of them if you are wide awake and alert. Don't suppress them, because you can use them in the process of becoming more aware. And when you look at them in this way, they really are a vehicle that help you journey into the world within. And with that aspect of Venus there, a lot of it to do with relationships again. I'm looking at this from a relationship standpoint for you, for this month, for this person. And if it is something that you're proposing to engage on some romantic escapade with them, then now is the time to find out as much as possible about them, about their previous relationships, or about his relationships with his family. And your judgment and acceptance of him should be based on the kind of man that he is, not on his skill at manipulating your ego. So make sure that you've always got one foot on his brakes and one foot on yours. Don't assume that he has the same level of emotional integrity that you do. Also, just look to see how certain behavior patterns, such as his setting boundaries or finding faults in you, his sending mixed messages, well, they're almost the universal indications of someone who has a commitment problem in general. And they're not specifically directed against you, it's just the way that they are. Now, what a woman must do at the beginning is to stay realistic and slow the relationship down. At the beginning, if you have a great deal of ego leverage and control, you do. So use it. Use it to set the pace and the tone that will lead to some sort of permanent relationship, if that's the sort of thing that you're looking for. Because no matter how much you might be tempted to go along with his film star sort of style, don't do it. And if he acts like he's immediately totally besotted and overwhelmed by you, then warning lights should be flashing. Here's what they should say: this man responds more to fantasy than he does to reality. Now also, if he's ever treated another woman badly, don't assume it's going to be any different with you. If he blames his past problems entirely on the woman, then be very careful and skeptical. If he blames his past problems on himself, well, maybe he's telling the truth, and maybe he'll tell the truth with you. But you've got to understand that the act of pursuing, chasing, and winning you with the whining and the dining and the romance, that's all part of his here and now, his conquest philosophy. And he doesn't feel reluctant about sharing intimacies with you. If you're at the stage where you're basically still strangers, well, he's not going to have any problem sharing intimacies about you as a virtual stranger, because he isn't thinking of anything except selling himself to you. So also consider that there could be a lot of projection going on his behalf, and that his sensitivity to women's issues is really just a means of masking his own rocky history and frankly his questionable intentions. Now, even when he is behaving in a totally destructive manner, do you know there's often a tendency on the part of many women to expect the feelings expressed at the beginning to re-emerge and make everything right. Well, that's a gamble that you are taking. That's a bet, and it's a big bet. Don't assume responsibility for his emotional well-being because he has none for yours, and don't be so quick to bond with him. And for God's sake, don't feel sorry for him. Now over here on that top horizontal, we have this fantastic thing which, if I'm not mistaken, would be Mars in Capricorn, placed where it is. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, so the energy that it brings is going to bring about great practical forward motion for you. And the energy of Mars here is very constructive rather than its often destructive self. Now, Capricorn's materialism, well, it's benefiting from the energy and activity of Mars here. So this is signifying that when you invest time and effort in work, however broadly you want to define that, things are going to turn out well. could well be career satisfaction. You're going to be doing a good job. There's continued progression going along here for you. You may be consulting with others and great at teamwork. You'll have a duty to yourself, but importantly, you will have high self-confidence. The heavens are beginning to open, and the clouds of uncertainty may repeatedly try to blur your clear vision of your goal, but your unshakable determination of the work that you have done and want to complete, that gives you the power to overcome any temporary doubts. This is assuring you great gradual progress. There is a reward here for your hard work and dedication, and your skills and knowledge are going to push you forward. Great outcomes for career, for business, and for practical matters in general, I think. There is some situation that is demanding your need to work steadily, so engage yourself totally with it, because it's going to be worth it. Now, in what areas do you still hold you back? In which areas could you be giving more of your energies? Say to yourself, I am now ready to give everything and to receive everything as well. Now, I think that takes us finally to the Lord of fertile lands and fields. Let's have a look here. Now I'm getting a lot of Virgo around here, a lot of Leo as well. Why am I getting Virgo? This is often to do with abundance here for you, which traditionally was done by way of agriculture. I'm getting Virgo because in Virgo, the decans, the first two decans, 0 to 10 and 10 to 20 degrees of Virgo, well, they're ruled by the Sun and Venus, respectively. Venus is a big player for you, isn't it? And the Sun is required for crops, and the nurturing qualities of Venus only complement this. This is a time when you're going to have great self-healing here. It's harvest time. You will be quite patient, quite a hard worker, very clever is what I'm seeing here. And you'll be using your instincts mixed in with your work ethics rather than over-intellectualizing things. This isn't the time for creative genius or experimentation, because I think that using your instincts and knowing what works, you're going to have success in it over something of the longer term. Now, if it's somebody else, and it could well be for you, you might find that they are someone who doesn't have any interest in things outside of work, but you do, because you're balanced here. Now is the time to set your abilities to work in the service of some kind. I think that there's a lot to be done by you, as was indicated by this thing here. The tasks are large and they demand the use of all of your powers, but when you put in the effort, the reward is going to be a rich harvest. Now ask yourself this: is there anything that you want to avoid in your life? Are you procrastinating about things? Whenever things seem to be too much trouble for you, concentrate on the positive results of your actions, for you and for other people. Because your internal learning and growing process, that's the most important outcome here. More important, I suppose, than that which you achieve by your actions. And remember, say this to yourself: with every task that comes my way, comes also the energy needed to accomplish it. What a fascinating spread of cards for you. Made so much better for you being here.
Well, I told you that was an interesting deck, didn't I? And I hope you enjoyed the reading as much as I did by providing it to you. And unless I see you separately for a clairvoyant reading or for healing, then I'll see you again next month. And until then, though, remember one thing, and it is this: that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. Until then, it's bye for now.